the Catholic Church, which is going through a number of problems. And why don't we start there, Dr. G? Because the Catholic Church botched another one, by and large, with these Covington boys who were smeared. It was clearly a smear, and the church was right in there piling on top of them with partial information. The same church that needs years and years and years to condemn abuse in their own ranks. This makes it very difficult for folks like you and me who are believers who want the church to succeed, and they keep stepping on themselves.
Yeah, I think as a Catholic, I think the whole Covington incident is truly a strategic event. It's not just another incidence of fake news. I think in terms of what it means for conservatives in general is maybe a watershed. The enormity of what occurred and how conservatives reacted. Forget about the left, but how some conservatives reacted is really a watershed for many of us. But perhaps the most despicable aspect of it all is how the Catholic school, the Covington school, and the Covington diocese responded to it, condemning the boys like everybody else and piling on, as you said, is absolutely appalling. Now I understand they've kind of slightly backtracked since then in the last 48 hours. But again, I'm not making excuses.
But there is a analogy that this is where if you are in a domestic partnership or a marriage, perhaps, and if you have a reaction that's a bad reaction, you can immediately say, "Oh, I apologize, I'm sorry," but it still does some damage when your knee jerk is the wrong attitude. This is in our personal life. If you have a friend or a coworker and your instinct is to snap at them when they make a mistake, as opposed to being understanding and waiting for full information, you still look bad, even if you apologize immediately after.
And not only that, I wrote a piece for American Greatness about what the lessons are from the Covington incident, and I focused on the fake conservatives and their pile-on, and what I said about them can go for, the diocese in Covington as well.
Sure.
Okay, I get it, S.E. Cup. I get it that you apologized after saying that these kids were racists, were bigots, were surrounding and intimidating these Native Americans. But how does your apology take back the fact that what you did in some way, undeniably, added to the atmosphere in which these young boys and their families received death threats? You can't. Your apology doesn't undo that. It added to that environment whereby the school on Monday was closed for security reasons.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for your apology. So what? Who cares?
That's right.
And again, at the end of the day, that's the thing that you cannot undo.
Yes, and we also know that it's part of a general culture in the media, and that's the problem with it. If it was a one-off mistake, but the folks who I think have earned the reputation, and by the way, I'm a fan of American Greatness, by the way. Good to see you popping up over there, Dr. G. Those of you who have credibility here, maybe you get an apology. I know Scott Adams, the Dilbert creator, who is beloved by the Trump universe. He got it wrong, immediately apologized. People have kind of given him, I think, a bit of a pass because he doesn't get these wrong. But National Review gets this stuff wrong all the time. S.E. Cup gets this stuff wrong all the time.
Yeah.
These CNNs of the world get this stuff wrong all the time. That's why I think it's a little bit of the standard applies. You have a bank account when it comes to credibility, and if you've already squandered it the way National Review has in so many other instances where they've rushed to virtue signal at the expense of truth, the people remember it. But I don't want to belabor this one, Dr. G, because there's other topics that I want to talk to you about.
But it's a really important. A really important topic. I mean, this is the whole culture war in one petri dish incident, and it's not just that these people are virtue signaling; they actually wish to please the left. That's the real motivation. These fake conservatives, they wish to have. This is like the establishment GOP and their attitude. to the New York Times and CNN. They want their approval. So this is everything we need to know about the culture war in one, 4-minute video.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Okay, so we did clear a couple of phone lines to specifically talk to Dr. G. If I can get through my list of one or two more items, then we will go to those. Yeah. But I have to ask you about your thoughts on, first of all, Venezuela. I feel like we're in the middle of history here. The sad news is that there is only socialism down there. It's just different types of socialists. But the United States government is now recognizing Juan Guaido as the president, not Nicolas Maduro, the dictator. Guaido is actually democratically elected, unlike Maduro, who is a purely dictatorial. I think this is a big development. And I'm going to go a step further, Dr. G, and say I don't think this stuff would happen if not for this populist, nationalist, anti-leftist energy that really started with Brexit, but it was really catapulted by folks like President Trump. Give me your perspective on all of this.
No, I think that's the most important aspect. This isn't just another country. This isn't just, country 41 that has failed in its socialist experiment, costing the lives of who knows how many people. This is the positive aftershocks of the rise of accountable government across the world. I mean, people still use the word populist. I try to avoid it because it has been used as a pejorative term and is still used as a pejorative term by the left. But whether it's Brexit, whether it's the elections in Austria, Italy, Hungary, whether it's the election of Donald Trump, whether it's the recent inauguration of the new president in Brazil, all of these things are connected. And Venezuela, I don't think what's happening right now, I'm not going to say it wouldn't have happened, but I don't think it would have happened as rapidly if we hadn't seen this wave of anti-elitist political movements gain traction around the world. And God bless the Venezuelans who are suffering. Watch the incredible video on YouTube from Army Horowitz where he actually starts the video walking through a park in Caracas with an individual whose face is blurred out, and he asks the guy, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" And he says, "I'm trying to catch a pigeon or a cat to feed my family." That's AOC's, that's Ocasio-Cortez's dream. That's what we're seeing collapse now in Venezuela. But I agree, it would not have happened as rapidly if it weren't for the rise of accountable government around the world, or the demand for accountable.
The demand, yes, that is right, and I love that aspect as much as any aspect. So, do you think this will be prolonged, Dr. G? This has got to go on for a while. Do you think that you'll see outright civil war? Do you have a sense of where this is going to go?
If you look at the lessons from history, there's always that cynical quote from Stalin, how many tank divisions does the Pope have? At the end of the day, in a dictatorship, the question is always who has the guns. The people don't have the guns in Venezuela. It's one of the classic case of the people were disarmed as soon as the dictators came into power.
That is right.
So it's always the question of who in the establishment, in the army, in the old guard, if they go wobbly, if the establishment goes wobbly, or elements of it think that they want to support the people, that's when everything changes. Hard to predict. I don't think anybody knows exactly, but it is a crisis, and it could come to a crescendo as we're speaking.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka again is with me. The new show, America First, with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Is it 2 to 5, Dr. G? I want to get the time right for
3
folks.
3 to 6.
3 to 6. I apologize for that. 3 to 6 Eastern time on the Salem station. So the producers, could you indicate which callers want to speak specifically to Dr. G? Because we have I would love to get folks in here. Last one today, Dr. G, give me your thoughts on where we are with the shutdown, the State of the Union. What do you recommend? Who's got the leverage? Right. Anything off the top of your mind? I'm sure we can't get to it all. They'll have to tune into your show if they want that. But
I'll just give you, my impression from seeing the president last week. So a couple of us were in the Oval Office with the president on Thursday. And it was an off-the-record meeting, so I can't give you the details. But I'll tell you one thing that is incontrovertible. He's not caving. on the shutdown. The atmosphere was upbeat, very upbeat. The whole team is hunkered down, ready for the long haul. And he's not caving on this issue, whether it's steel slats or whether it's concrete. That wall will be funded, and we are in day 34, and that should tell the base, it should tell the hobbits, it should tell everybody just how serious this man is and how he's not going to cave. And I think there will be. It may not be called the State of the Union, but there will be an address from a very, very interesting location held very soon by the president.
So here's my question, and I know that you are a sort of unofficial Trump surrogate, so I'm not trying to get you into any trouble, Dr. G, but I get to be a little more. I get to be very free with my analysis. I thought the president just handed Nancy Pelosi a very small but a victory by saying at the start of the day the address is going to be on time and on location, when it's not up to him if the address is going to be on time or on location. And she just said, no, it's not. And then he had to backtrack. That's not Donald Trump. That is. He doesn't set people up for slam dunks like that. And that was very surprising to me. And it makes me a little concerned about whoever's running his shop right now.
Yeah, but ask yourself one question right now. Even if that's the appearance it gives temporarily or gave you yesterday, who do you think, in the eyes of the non-MAGA, just the people who are undecided, who do you think came out looking worse yesterday? Forget us. Forget the president's supporters. I think if you're not a hardcore Trumpian, if you're sitting on the fence, I think Nancy came out worse. The idea that the president can travel in safety to a war zone during a shutdown, and she has denied the president access to the people's chamber for security reasons. There's only one person who ends up looking bad in that, and it's not the president. So if you want to be really Machiavellian, it was a deliciously smart move yesterday.
Okay, I'm glad I asked, because I think that does make me feel a little better. Not perfect, but it makes me feel a little better, Dr. G. So very good. Okay, let's talk to Lorraine in New York. Lorraine, you had a question for Dr. Sebastian Gorka.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I just want to know, I'm surprised I've not heard comment from the Catholic Church regarding Cuomo's bill to push through expansion of the abortion rights. Not only did he go further than Roe v. Wade, pretty much calling abortion a fundamental right, he allows it up to birth, and it's done by non-doctors, which Roe v. Wade did not allow. And if the baby in the preliminary bill, now I haven't read what they passed yesterday, they said that if the baby is born alive, it is not criminal anymore to kill it. And I was just wondering, where's the, even the boys, all we heard is the boy was smiling. We didn't hear they were there for a pro-life march. What I'm saying now could be criminalized in the future under Cuomo's bill, because it's a fundamental right. And if you speak against someone's fundamental right, there could be implications.
Yeah, and Lorraine, hang with me, Dr. G. Let me set up some of the facts quickly, and then you can respond to Lorraine. So some of the stuff that's in the bill. So first of all, it allows for non-doctors to perform abortions. It says non-surgical abortions, but I don't know what that means beyond giving some sort of a abortion drug. But non-doctors can perform the abortions. Abortions that occur over 20 weeks. There used to be a requirement that a second doctor was present in case the baby is born during the abortion to take care of the baby, because it used to be that it is still the case, I believe. I mean, you can't then murder the baby once the baby is out of the womb. But what you can do, out of the woman, I mean, I guess you could be out of the womb partially. But so this is being thought of as a tacit a way to have a post-birth abortion, because the babies are not going to survive nearly as often without a second doctor present. And by the way, those of you who listened to yesterday's show where we talked about this in a lot of detail, I did run by with some of the doctors in my life. It is a very complex procedure when the further along the fetus develops. So it is not a small task to start turning over some of these. I know it's non-surgical, but we know we're on a slippery slope to non-doctors. It's just sickening to me. But Dr. G, your response to Lorraine?
Well, it's more complicated because you're murdering a viable child. I mean, if you're in the third trimester, if you look at what we've seen in the developments in medical technology, you're actually murdering a child at that point. It turns the stomach. I don't know what the Catholic Church is going to say. I'm not, going to put words in their mouth. But just play the audio. I don't know if you played the audio. Play the audio of the New York State Senate after the bill was passed that permits infanticide right up to the point of birth and potentially
That's
after
right.
the point of birth. And listen to the cheering. And if anybody out there, I don't care who you voted for, if anybody doubts that the left has been taken over by a truly radical clique of extremists, and that we are in a culture war in which one side truly believes in the culture of death, if you have any question in your mind, listen to that audio. I'll use it on my show today as well, of people cheering at the option to kill a child.
Yes.
It will wipe any doubt from your mind.
Yes, and I was told to play this. We should try to get this because someone else recommended that to me as well, Dr. G, where there was a cheers in the chamber when this passed. Lorraine, any further thoughts?
I know Dr. Gorka has some great views, and I just, was curious as to, it's shock. Really, it's shock. And to call it a fundamental right, where is the child's fundamental right once they're viable, like you said?
And this is, Lorraine, it is an amazing thought and thanks for the call. There's a meme going around, Dr. G, that it has a picture of a smiling baby. It says, I was born at 12:05 in New York. It's now legal to murder me at 12:04. I mean, it's so powerful. It gives you chills. And not to mention the sickness of changing this rule so that you don't have the second doctor present after 20 weeks. To me, the implication is crystal clear to me, Dr. Gorka. Guys, can we put down Lorraine, please? I don't need to hear the background noise for Lorraine. That does not enhance the show. Thank you. Dr. G, the implication is they want to allow babies that are accidentally born, a suffering child who born prematurely, to just lie there and die. That is the implication. Why else would you remove the second doctor?
And this from just the absurdity, the surreal absurdity that this is the people cheering that capacity to kill children are the same people who are attacking this president and this administration on the illegal children crossing the border that must be protected. This is the same party that says they are for minority rights. There are more black children murdered through abortion in New York every week than are born in New York. That's the left. But nobody talks about it on the left. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, Margaret Sanger is smiling from hell the second that bill was passed by the New York Senate. That's all you need to know.
I'm just so out. I'm so out. It's just so nothing for me in New York. If this is how the people in New York, if this is their value system. Todd in Detroit, line 3. You're on with Alex and Dr. Gorka. Go ahead.
Hey guys. Yeah, I just was calling. Is there a way that the White House can not necessarily keep tabs on where like Pelosi and everybody is, but just kind of get the word out to the people that, hey, they are not in Washington working for you. They are out doing whatever. They're not here trying to make deals and get people back to work. Just constantly just keep putting this out over and over again so people realize that nobody works in Washington. Well, very few people, not nobody. Says, Dr. G, I know you're working.
Yeah, but the city's great. It's totally empty, and I get to the studio in about 2 minutes flat. So, look, we don't want to go Big Brother in a week where we've seen, what is it, the face crime, George Orwell's face crime.
Yeah, face crime. That's right.
become a reality with Nicholas Sandmann, who smiled, and his crime was to smile as Nathan Phillips, the fake Vietnam veteran, was trying to provoke him into a fight. So we don't want to go big brother with the White House, but we know where they're going. They're going to Hawaii drinking Mai Tais. They're going to Puerto Rico. I think, let's do what Andrew Breitbart taught us. Let's all be citizen journalists. And when you see one of these people sunning themselves on a beach somewhere, or when you hear that they're golfing at a golf course, take a photograph, post it, get it out there. I can tell you, having been in the White House last week, they are running on a skeleton staff because of the shutdown, but they are working every hour God sends them. So let's be part of the solution, and let's help the president.
All right, Dr. Gorka, I think we got time for one more. Let's go to Raymond in South Carolina, line 6. Raymond, you're on with Alex and Dr. G.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Dr. Gorka, I love you, man. I think you're great. I was just thinking that it might be better for President Trump not to give the State of the Union in front of Congress anyway, because of their mentality of disrespect. And I mean, they'll make that Joe Wilson thing seem like a joke. I mean, it's incredible. Yep. He should have him like maybe in a stadium, like Yankee Stadium, or in Dallas or something like that.
Not New York. Yeah, there you go. Raymond, I'm with Raymond here, Dr. G, and I think a lot of our colleagues in talk radio were pushing him to keep the State of the Union in the Congress. I did not see that as necessary, but I would love to get your thoughts on that.
Look, it would be fun to see Nancy sitting there grimacing for 2 hours. But I agree, and this is one of the issues that we discussed with the president last week. The Constitution is very clear. The State of the Union is not an address to the Congress. The State of the Union is an accounting to the people of America, and for most of our history, it was made in writing. So the president can do it wherever he wants to do. I'm for Independence Hall in Philadelphia. I think that would be an epic location. But I think there will be a speech given, and it will be from an unusual place, whether it's called the State of the Union or something else, doesn't matter. He can deposit something in writing to the Congress whenever he wants in a given time slot. But I think we can expect a very, very interesting tweet from the president imminently on this issue.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka, former national security editor for Breitbart, host of America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the Salem Radio Networks, 3 to 6, every day Eastern Time, every weekday Eastern Time, and pick up Why We Fight in his other books. Thanks, Dr. G. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Alex. And you're coming into my studio, right, for an interview, correct?
Yes, I'm going to have to. And I'm going to enjoy seeing what it's like over on the terrestrial side of things. It's been a while, so I look forward to that greatly.
And you can bring anybody you want in an urban onesie, urban camo onesie.
Sometimes that is my obligation, because I'm a progressive male who sometimes does some child care.
As long as you're not wearing one.
I don't wear those during the week, and your show's only a weekday show. There's a weekend-only garment for me. Always a pleasure. We will talk to you next Thursday, Dr. Gorka.